Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G133. I am back here today with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here today with your official SmackDown review and results for November 12th, 2021. Hopefully, you guys are doing safe. Hopefully, you guys are doing well, man. I'm trying to get this out as soon as possible because it's a crazy weekend on the channel for your boy. I have a lot of stuff going on. That's why, as you guys know, I've been pretty inconsistent with the reviews, but you guys keep hammering me on social media, and I appreciate it. I really do appreciate the love and support you guys give me, man, because when you guys are coming my DMs or when you guys are sending me messages on Twitter and stuff like that, asking me when's the review gonna be, when's the next podcast, when's the next review, it makes me feel kind of loved, you know? It makes me feel loved because it's like you guys enjoy what I do. You guys want my thoughts on things, you know? You guys don't have to be subscribed. You guys don't have to like every video. You guys don't have to comment, but you guys choose to, and I really do appreciate because there's tons of other people that do what I do, but you guys choose to listen and watch me. You guys choose me as a source, for wrestling news and for wrestling opinions. And I really do appreciate that. I'm just a normal guy at the end of the day. When the camera turns off, I'm just a normal guy like everybody else in this world. But, thank you guys for, all the support you guys give me. And I'm trying my best to remain consistent. It's just really, really difficult these days. But, with that being said, we do have a SmackDown review for you guys tonight, right? And I am planning, depending when you guys are watching this weekend, I am planning to do an AEW Full Gear review. I don't know if it's going to be live or not yet, but just know I do plan to have an AEW Full Gear for you guys. Full Gear review for you guys this weekend, man. I'm so hyped for this show. CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston, right? Adam Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson versus Miro, right? Darby Allin versus MJF. So many good, matches like Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, and who knows if AEW has, a secret debut, someone new debuting. I don't think so, but you never know. You never know. This would be the show to debut somebody new. We know how AEW likes to do their reveals. So, like I said, there's a lot to be hyped about, this weekend. And I am pumped for AEW. I am, I've been watching AEW every single week now, along with Rampage. I went to an AEW show in Boston a couple of weeks ago, which was an absolute fun time. And I'll probably talk about that. I did talk about it in one of the recent podcasts, but we'll probably talk about that a little bit more when we get to the Full Gear review. But I am fully on board with AEW, right? I'm trying to balance watching WWE and AEW at the same time. But it's definitely make sure you guys are on the lookout for an AEW Full Gear review this week or this weekend. And then hopefully on Monday, I'll get you guys a Monday Night Raw review. I know it's been a while since we've done a Monday Night Raw live stream. I'm just going to be honest. I just haven't enjoyed Monday Night Raw. And in the past, with Monday Night Raw, I've always reviewed it no matter if the show was good, which was rare, and bad, which was basically every week. But just the last couple of weeks, man, I just haven't been feeling Raw at all. Like, there's nothing on the show for me. I am intrigued about Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch. And I probably will have a bonus podcast episode just on that topic alone, because I do need to talk about the whole Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch situation. I know you guys have been asking for my thoughts on social media. Was Bianca buried by Becky? And I have some strong thoughts. And I promise you guys, I will have a bonus episode of the podcast sometime soon on that. I just don't know when. I just don't know when. Maybe this week, maybe a couple weeks from now, but it's definitely something we need to talk about, right? Maybe if I do a Monday Night Raw live stream, maybe we'll talk about it there, but I kind of want to talk about it in a separate video first. But, like I said, I just haven't been feeling Monday Night Raw at all as of late. But hopefully we can get back on the Monday Night Raw live stream train. I know how much you guys love those reviews, and I want to get them to you. truly want to get those reviews to you. So hopefully this week. But you guys are getting the SmackDown review right now. You guys are gonna get the AEW Full Gear review. It's sometime this weekend, and hopefully we'll have Raw on Monday. But I do have other videos planned when it comes to my anime fans out there. We got Dragon Ball, My Hero, Attack on Titan. I got some other videos coming in the coming weeks, so be on the lookout for that. I'm also planning on updating these banners soon, right? The SmackDown banner clearly is outdated because, of course, Bianca and Rey Mysterio, they're not on SmackDown anymore. So clearly, we need to make a updated banner, and we'll have an updated banner for SmackDown and Raw soon, right? Uh, and if I'm right, I believe Survivor Series is next week. I believe Survivor Series, what's completely, if I'm being honest with you guys, completely slipped my mind. So yes, Survivor Series is next week. So guys, be on the lookout for that because basically this week is the Survivor Series go home show. Raw, SmackDown, and we'll have Survivor Series on Sunday. And I am planning on having our Survivor Series review live next Sunday night. So I don't think you guys need to worry about that too much unless something big comes up. I am planning for us to have our Survivor Series review live because we didn't do a review for the first time ever. For the first time in a long time, we didn't do a review for I think it was Extreme Rules. That was the first time in a long time that we had actually skipped a pay-per-view and not do a review for that. And then we did do a review for Crown Jewel, but I do want to get back on, doing our monthly live stream pay-per-view reviews. Like, I missed not doing one for Extreme Rules. And definitely for Survivor Series, in my eyes, Survivor Series is one of the 5 big shows of the year. Definitely, I do plan to have a Survivor Series review for you guys coming up next Sunday, right? But I'll be honest with you guys, and this is kind of a good transition into our SmackDown review. I'm not feeling Survivor Series that much this year. I'm not. I'm not really that high on the matches, and plus there's no build, right? This has become an issue for WWE. Survivor Series does not mean anything. It doesn't. Last year it was promoted as the best of the best. This year, there's not really a tagline for it, but it's really just the same thing. The Survivor Series doesn't mean anything. At least back at the beginning of, the brand split era, right? When you had Shane McMahon and Stephanie running both Raw and SmackDown and Kurt Angle and etc. At least you could feel the animosity. You could feel that it meant something. Like Kurt Angle would get fired from his job unless Raw didn't dominate in the Survivor Series. All right? Or when Shane McMahon had SmackDown, raid Monday Night Raw, and then we had Becky Lynch officially become the man with that famous attack on Ronda Rousey with her bloody broken nose and everything. That was the last time when Survivor Series meant something. Even a couple years ago, back in 2019, when NXT raided both Raw and SmackDown, when NXT was taking over, right? That felt special. Even though the execution was not done correctly, because it really didn't elevate NXT that much. It just elevated their ratings for a couple weeks. But still, at least Survivor Series meant something. Last year and this year, Survivor Series really doesn't mean nothing. It's just Survivor Series with the title, right? It's the title of Survivor Series, but the stakes are not there. It doesn't feel like there's any real reason to really get invested in this show. You're just having people from Raw and SmackDown go up against each other for the second straight year. And here's the thing. I remember saying this last year. For those of you guys who were here last year and subscribed to the channel, most of these things I'm saying now, I said last year as well. So I'm giving you guys consistency. WWE wants to give us the same nonsense that they did last year, and I'm not with it. I'm not with it. WWE can do so much better when it comes to the Survivor Series build, right? I will say one thing. This thing is bugging me because, the base of my mic, you guys could see probably there's tape on it, right? Because one of the parts is coming apart. I probably need to crazy glue it, but it's causing the mic to, just go in different directions, and it's bothering me because I like my mic to be straight when I'm talking. But anyway, but like I said, Survivor Series just doesn't feel like Survivor Series. These shows, Raw and SmackDown, on the build to Survivor Series are supposed to be Raw versus SmackDown, right? There's supposed to be animosity. There's supposed to be tension. It's supposed to be intense. But I'm not feeling none of that. None of that at all. We're getting the, traditional Survivor Series matches, right? 5v5 with men versus women, or men versus men, woman versus woman, the usual stuff. And there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing to sink my teeth in. I can't even really think off the top of my head who's leading both teams. I don't. I know they freaking announced it on social media of all things. Usually they would wait till Raw and SmackDown to make those announcements, right? They would make qualifying matches to determine who would be on the Survivor Series teams. But instead, no, that they denounced them on social media. If that doesn't show you how meaningless Survivor Series is this year, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't. Because there is nothing there really to sink our teeth in when it comes to Survivor Series. Nothing at all. And it's sad. It's sad if you ask me, because Survivor Series is supposed to be a Big Five pay-per-view. You guys hear me say this all the time. Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, Survivor Series, that's supposed to be your Big Five pay-per-views. But it's not. It's not, man. Survivor Series is a Big Five pay-per-view in theory, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really have any big meaning. It doesn't affect the Rumble. It doesn't really affect Mania. And that's not right. The Big Five pay-per-views are supposed to affect the other Big Five pay-per-views. That's the reason why I call it the Big Five. Because those are, basically, they take place in each season. Winter, spring, fall, and summer. Right? And they're supposed to be the biggest events of those seasons. Because they're supposed to directly lead into the next big event. And, of course, it all correlates with WrestleMania, of course. But instead, these last couple of years, Survivor Series doesn't mean anything, really. And if you're going to sit there and try to debate me that it does, I'm just going to say you're flat out wrong. I'm not even going to really listen to you, because it doesn't. What does Survivor Series truly mean this year? Did someone actually tell me that? What truly is Survivor Series this year? What's the meaning? What does it represent? It doesn't represent anything in my eyes. And I feel like it's just something we honestly have to be honest with ourselves. Survivor Series just isn't the same. Oh my mic is really bothering me, guys. But anyway, Survivor Series is not the same. You can give us all the 5v5 traditional matches you want. You can give us all of the, what you can post on your social media famous moments from Survivor Series in years past and all this other stuff all you want. But real wrestling fans like myself know that this is not Survivor Series. This is not. There is no stakes, and there's nothing that's going to change that. Nothing at all. Look, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, they run both Raw and SmackDown. Isn't that a dead giveaway? Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville run both shows. So if you were to ask Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, who take your pick, who are you rooting for at the Survivor Series, right? What are they supposed to say? They run both shows. This is why we need GMs again. This is why we need GMs. As much as you may have not liked the Authority, as much as you maybe didn't like Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, at least they added an element to this show, to their shows, to make it a little more watchable. You have Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville running both shows. Maybe if you had, Sonya was running SmackDown and Adam was running Raw, that's a little bit different. But they're running both shows. So that element that should be there for Survivor Series is not, because you have authority figures running both shows instead of separate. So this is why I think you need that GM element again. That would be part of the way to fix Survivor Series. Because what we're getting now, this is not it. This is not it. And it's disappointing, because I love Survivor Series. I do. There's been a couple of really great Survivor Series in the last couple of years. Survivor Series 2018, Survivor Series 2016 through 2018. Those three Survivor Series were really good in my opinion. Some of those matches with AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, right? Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. And it's not like we haven't had good Survivor Series moments in the last couple of years, but the overall theme of Survivor Series is not there. It's just not, and it's something we have to be honest with. This is not Survivor Series in my eyes. If anything, this is bragging rights. If you guys remember that old school pay per view, WWE bragging rights back in like 2009. And remember, I remember I think we had bragging rights and Survivor Series in the same year, if I remember correctly. Back in 2009, that was back when like Cena and Orton were feuding over the WWE Championship. To me, this is just instead of calling this Survivor Series, this should just be called WWE Bragging Rights 2021 edition. I know they would never do that because they've had Survivor Series. That's a traditional pay per view for WWE for the last, 30, 40 years? But still, this is not what Survivor Series is supposed to be. It's Survivor Series in name, but in meaning, it's WWE Bragging Rights. That's the way I would describe Survivor Series this year. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing. And when you look at SmackDown, right? It's not that SmackDown was a bad show. It's just that outside of really, of course, Sasha Banks, that there's really nothing, super interesting to me right now. Right? I'm looking to see more progression with the Sonya Deville storyline with Naomi and then, what they did with Alea. But other than that, there's nothing else really that has me jumping out of my chair right now. And Survivor Series is supposed to do that for us. But it's not because there's nothing to sink our teeth into with Survivor Series. Just look at the card itself. Like Roman Reigns versus Big E. Okay, that could be good. But they've already kind of given that away to us. Remember, it was just about a month ago where we got Big E versus Big E, basically the New Day against the Bloodline. And that was a great match, but they gave that away to us. And I know Big E and Roman will probably have a really good match, but I'm willing to bet Roman's going to win that. And, it's just hard to really sink my teeth into it because it feels predictable. It'll be a good match, but from a storyline perspective, I'm just like, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. You look at, Becky Lynch and Charlotte, I'm not watching that match at Survivor Series. I'm telling you right now. And that's probably going to be my bathroom break, or I'll just, look at something else and then come back. I'm not watching that. I have no interest in seeing Becky and Charlotte again. I'm so sick and tired of that. The women's match, the 5v5, doesn't really mean much. Of course, Sasha Banks is the captain of SmackDown, and, I'm a huge Sasha Banks fan, but there's nothing in that match that has me sinking my teeth into it. Nothing really at all. And then, same thing with the men's Survivor Series match. It'll be a great match because of the talent involved when you have Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, right? And all these other big names in that match. It's going to be good, but it doesn't mean anything. So that's my honest thoughts when it comes to Survivor Series itself. And it leads into SmackDown. It wasn't that SmackDown was a bad show. It's just really nothing to sink my teeth into. Nothing that has me going crazy from a storyline perspective on WWE TV. Like, I'm kind of enjoying Roman versus Xavier, but I'm also, if I'm being honest, Roman's just become a little bit bland to me as of late. It's the same stuff with him every single week. The Usos interfering in his matches. He's saying mainly the same stuff in his promos. And I'm not saying Roman ain't great. I'm not saying Roman's not the number one guy in WWE. But he's become kind of bland now with his title reign, in my opinion. It's just really the same stuff for rinse and repeat. And I understand how he's been dominant and he's been great for the most part. But I'm starting to get a little bit tired of, the same thing with him every single week. And I feel like they choose to do the same thing with him just because he's Roman Reigns, right? So if I'm being honest, SmackDown last night wasn't a bad show. It's just, if I'm being honest, I just haven't been feeling it as much. That's just the honest truth. It's just really nothing that's really getting my mouth watering as a WWE fan. With AEW, what I'm watching right now, there's so many things that I'm excited about. And it's the main reason why I'm more excited about AEW than WWE at the moment. And with that being said, let's actually get into SmackDown, right? Let's talk about what actually happened on this show. And of course, as you see, right, my mic and me had a disagreement. My mic is no longer on the stand. So I'm gonna have to. As you can see, the part broke. So and the part fell on the floor. So I'm gonna have to find a way to fix this because I don't want to be holding my mic now whenever I record a video for the rest of eternity. But anyway, just letting you guys know for a programming note, you guys are gonna see me holding the mic for the duration of this review. Hopefully, I can get this fixed as soon as possible. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So the show started off with Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville came out and she introduced the representatives of the women's team for SmackDown. And like I said, we just talked about this. Part of the reasons why, Survivor Series doesn't feel that special, you have Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, they're on both shows. So you had Adam Pearce and Sonya on Raw talking about the women's Survivor Series team and how they had to get along. And then now you have on SmackDown, you have Sonya doing the same exact thing. So like I said, it's like you ask them who are they rooting for at Survivor Series? Like, could they even give a fair answer because they run both shows? It doesn't feel that special. It just feels like it gives Survivor Series less meaning. And I know it's kind of like a small nitpick, but that's exactly what I see when I watch the show. That's exactly what I see. And WWE has to do better at that. You want Survivor Series to mean something. You have to add, more value. It's the little things that someone like me notices that make when I think of Survivor Series, I'm just like, this is not what Survivor Series is supposed to be. It's not. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of feeling this. I'm like sitting back in my chair talking WWE. I know I'm not live streaming right now, but this is. I don't know. I kind of like this vibe a little bit. I don't know. Not saying this is going to be the vibe going forward because I don't want to be holding my mic for like 2-3 hours whenever we do like a podcast or a stream. But now, not gonna lie, I'm kind of feeling this a little bit. Kind of feeling this. Anyway, let's get back to it. So Sonya's out there and she's introducing the 5 other members of Team SmackDown, right? And we already know this because WWE announced the Survivor Series members on social media, which, of course, I disagree with strongly. It kind of shows the lack of care for Survivor Series. But we have Shotzi Blackheart, which she's been in the news a lot because of her heel turn the last couple of weeks. Natalya's just there because it's Natalya. Natalya, look, Natalya's a legend in most people's eyes. I've never been a big fan of her. I never will be. But, you put Natalya on there just because of who she is, because of her name value or whatever you want to call it. Shayna Baszler, right? Alea, which was the big surprise, right? Alea, newcomer to SmackDown. For those of you guys who haven't seen her from NXT, she was part of the Robert Strome brand. She's actually pretty talented, and she got to showcase some of her ability on SmackDown tonight. And, of course, the captain, the best female wrestler in the world, Sasha Banks. And first things first, Sasha is, no discussion now. It's not a debate anymore. Sasha is clearly the number one babyface in the women's division now. We talked about it before the draft, especially with Charlotte being on that brand, who was going to be the number one women's babyface. And Sasha, they gave her more of a quiet turn. Because right after Crown Jewel, I guess that's when you could say that was when her babyface turn was. It was at Crown Jewel, and then it became more official the night after SmackDown when she attacked Charlotte. But people were still trying to debate, oh no, Sasha's a tweener, this and that. But no, if you guys saw the pictures and videos from the WWE UK tour, right, Sasha was a babyface against Charlotte. It is now without any doubt, especially with Shotzi turning heel and attacking Sasha, right? Sasha is clearly now has been set up as the number one women's babyface on SmackDown in that women's division, which I have no problem with. And I'm actually I'm very excited to see what they do with Sasha with this babyface run. I know her heel run was kind of short-lived. We didn't really get to see a full Sasha Banks heel, right? And we could play the what-if game, right? If Sasha had defeated Bianca at SummerSlam, what would have happened? Because I don't have any confirmation of this, but I feel like, especially knowing what's happened with Becky Lynch, I feel like if Sasha had been able to go for SummerSlam, she would have most likely had gotten her payback on Bianca and walked out SmackDown Women's Champion. And she probably would have went on some kind of heel run as champion. And of course, that would have been exciting because we could have seen heel Sasha versus Tony Storm and Shotzi as a babyface and Tegan Knox and all these other things. But instead, that's not the way it went. Bianca got sent to Raw, Sasha's on SmackDown, and Sasha's a babyface, which I don't have any problems with. The big key is what happens with Sasha because we all want her to become SmackDown Women's Champion. We thought that WWE was going to go right ahead and start doing Sasha versus Charlotte right away, right after the draft. And a lot of people have been saying, no, save for WrestleMania. Other people are saying, what if Bayley comes back before WrestleMania, right? You could do Sasha versus Bayley at WrestleMania. Or another thing, Sasha versus Trish. Sasha's been heavily talking about Trish in basically every single interview she's done. Trish has also been talking about Sasha. And we know that Sasha versus Trish has been a dream match for years now, ever since their interaction in the first Women's Royal Rumble. So, that's still on the table. That's easily a WrestleMania match if they want to do it. So there's lots of different things. What's the direction here? Do you save Sasha versus Charlotte for WrestleMania? Or do you have Sasha and Charlotte feud now, have Sasha become champion, and face Trish for the title at WrestleMania? There's so many different things you can do. Do you have Sasha win the Women's Royal Rumble? Right? I honestly don't know. But I will say this, and you guys have heard me say this so many times, Sasha needs to win at WrestleMania, no matter what. No matter if it's the SmackDown Women's Championship, no matter if it's the Raw Women's Championship, no matter if it's a dream match against Trish, Sasha needs to win at WrestleMania, right? It doesn't make any sense for Sasha to be the best female wrestler in the world and not have a WrestleMania victory on her resume. It's straight up disrespectful if you ask me. So Sasha needs to win at WrestleMania this year. No doubt, no question, no ands, no ifs, no buts. It's really that simple, right? Guys, I'm not going to lie, man. I'm feeling this. I'm comfortable, right? I don't have to stand here looking at the light shining in my face. The only thing is just having, the only thing is, your arm can get tired, holding this for a couple hours. I've only been holding it for 10 minutes, but I like it. If I could find a way maybe to, I don't know, maybe I fix the stand, I might have to do reviews like this going forward, man. This is comfortable as hell. Maybe if I get a little ranty, I'll get up and be like, WWE sucks, blah, blah, blah. But, sitting here just relaxing, cooling a little bit, just talking, wrestling, man, this is it. This is it. I know I got the mic really close on my face, but you're getting that crystal clear audio, LOL. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I don't really care what direction you take with Sasha. No matter if it's Charlotte, Trish, Bayley, or something else, as long as Sasha wins at WrestleMania, I'm happy. I'm happy. That's all that matters to me, really, is Sasha finally getting that WrestleMania victory, right? And it looks like, at least for right now, Sasha's not directly going to a feud with Charlotte. Sasha's feuding with Shotzi Blackheart right now, plus she's the captain of the Survivor Series team. So, at least for the moment, they can keep Sasha busy. She doesn't have to necessarily go after Charlotte right away. And it looks like they're setting up Charlotte to have some kind of feud with Tony Storm going forward on SmackDown, which I don't have a problem with at all. So, yeah, I don't have an issue with this whatsoever. I'm fine with that. As long as this ends with Sasha getting a WrestleMania victory, that's all that matters. You don't need the rush Sasha becoming SmackDown Women's Champion. I wouldn't mind it, of course, if right after Survivor Series, going to TLC and the Rumble, they have Sasha and Charlotte feud, then fine. They have been facing, of course, at house shows and everything like that, regaining the chemistry that they had in 2016. But if that's what they want to do, so be it. But I don't have any clear-cut direction what they need to do with Sasha. As long as Sasha wins at WrestleMania this year, I am fine with it. I have no complaints on my end. No complaints whatsoever. So getting into it, so Sasha came out, right, and they gave Sasha a full entrance. Basically, because she was the team captain. I don't. Last year at Survivor Series, she went up against Asuka, You know, and I still think that was one of the more underrated Survivor Series matches, probably because it was in the Thunderdome, of course. But go back and watch Sasha versus Asuka from Survivor Series last year. Very, very underrated match between those two. Plus, the match was shorter than some of the matches those two had in the past. Right? You can make an argument that Sasha and Asuka was one of the rivalries of the year. You know, with some of the matches they had at SummerSlam, on Raw, at Survivor Series. They had bangers every time they got into the ring together. And then the year before that, 2019, the year with NXT, Sasha was the captain of SmackDown. So Sasha's the captain of SmackDown for the second time in 3 years. Sasha came out. She got a huge pop from the crowd. It was funny that they advertised this show as Sasha's return to SmackDown because she wasn't on the show last week because of the UK tour, and then the week before that she got attacked by Shotzi Blackheart. So I found it kind of funny how they tried to make it a big deal, but it was nice to see Sasha get a pretty cool pop like that, and really look like the face of the division as she came out, and everyone was all the women were in the ring looking at her. So she came down to the ring. She took off her jacket, and then she went right after Shotzi Blackheart. And another thing, quick note, Sasha's giving her shades to fans again. So that should clearly tell you that Sasha's a babyface, right? She only does that when she's a babyface. She gives her shades to a fan when doing her entrance. So Sasha came out, and she went right after Shotzi Blackheart, but the other woman tried stopping her, right? And then a brawl started with the heels versus the baby faces. Naomi then came out, right? And we know, of course, Naomi and Sonya, they've had a nice little side feud on SmackDown. So Naomi was kind of heated because she was not on the team. So then we came back from break, and then we had this match go down, right? And this was a fun six-woman tag match. It was very fun, right? Sasha and let me see. So yeah, Sasha and Natalya. I'm looking at my notes. Sasha and Natalya had a pretty good interaction. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but Natalya's told stories of how during training sessions, Sasha and Natalya have had 60-minute mock matches without a crowd, just them training. So it's always cool to see Sasha and Natalya in the ring together because they do have really good chemistry because I know they train together a lot with Bayley. So they had some good back and forth here. So they did a good back and forth at the beginning of this match. But the heels went after Alea, of course. Her being the rookie here, right? And she was getting worked over in the corner. Baszler locked in the carry through the clutch, but Alea was able to escape and make a tag to Naomi. Naomi went after Shayna, of course, Shayna and Naomi have been feuding because of Sonya Deville. And then Natalya got a blind tag, and then she was able to take control. But then after the break, we saw Naomi was able to get Alea back in the ring, and Alea had a really good comeback. Like, the crowd was very, very hot for the baby faces here. And to see Alea, she was, she wasn't doing anything too special, like anything we haven't seen before. She's not the biggest person in that ring, but she does have good technique. So Alea just going after Natalya, that was, it was pretty cool to see the crowd get behind Alea there as she kept up the intensity there, with little I'm forgetting what it's called, the bench press punches and all that, But then Natalya was able to get the advantage again. She applied the sharpshooter and tried to use the ropes for leverage, but Naomi broke that up, and Alea scored the roll-up for the upset victory. The crowd went absolutely wild. Of course, Alea just being her first match on SmackDown, it was good to see her, get a win. And, I'm hoping that Alea can be kind of a, what's it called? Can kind of be an underdog in that women's division. Kind of like a Dominic in a way, like Dominic Mysterio. How he's viewed as an underdog. I'm hoping that Alea can be that way as well. I'm not saying Alea should be SmackDown Women's Champion or anything like that, but I definitely think Alea could end up being a sneaky X factor in that division. I'm really hoping now with this brand split that they really focus on some of this younger talent. We're seeing Liv Morgan against Becky Lynch on Raw, and Toni Storm looks like she's going to be going up against Charlotte, and you're seeing Alea gets the win. I like that. But here's the thing. You have to be consistent. You can't just do this for 1 or 2 weeks. You have to do this for months at a time. That's how you build these women up to be the next Sasha, to be the next Asuka, to be the next Bailey. If you're just building them up for 2 months just to be fed to Charlotte and Becky, it's going to be a failure. And they're going to end up not being anything. So I'm happy to see kind of this younger talent step up a little bit in that women's division, because the women's division has had a really poor year, in my opinion. They've done a really poor job with the overall handling of the women's division all year long. So I'm hoping, that this is a sign that WWE is trying to be better with the women's division and treat it more serious. I don't know if they are. I don't know. Like I said, this could be only very short term, but I'm hoping that it's for the long term. I really am hoping it's for the long term, man, because you need to start building the future. Because, like I said, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I could see Charlotte and Sasha in AEW the next couple of years. Charlotte, of course, with Andrade's over there. I could definitely see Charlotte heading over there. I would know, especially with the way Charlotte's been acting. You never know. Charlotte could be trying to get fired or something like that. And I think Sasha, as much as Sasha loves WWE, I could definitely see in a couple of years when Sasha's contract is up, I could definitely see her heading towards AEW. Definitely. I don't know if it will happen, but I definitely don't think it's off the table. I definitely could see Sasha ending up in AEW one of these days. So you need to start building up the women's division. Because imagine those two left. Imagine if you lose somebody like Sasha or Asuka to AEW. You don't have the future. You don't have the next generation built up outside of Bianca Belair. Outside of Bianca Belair and maybe Rhea Ripley, you don't really have anybody else built up properly. And Rhea Ripley may be a stretch. So, but outside of those two, you don't really have anybody built up to lead the women's division into the future. So, I definitely think WWE really needs to look hard and start building up the younger talent. You can't just sit there and then have them fed to Charlotte and Becky anymore. You have to build them up now. Because Sasha, the four horsewomen, they're not going to be there forever. They carry the women's division. They're not. They've been, you think about it, it's already been well over 6 years. 6 years already since Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte both all three of them made their main roster call-ups. It's already been over half a decade. And I don't know Sasha and the rest are going to be there forever. Like I said, they could end up in AEW. So WWE really needs to start focusing on the next generation and building them up. They have to. It's not a question of if. It's like they have to. It's imperative that they do that. So it's good to see that the women's division is, at least showing a little bit of improvement. But we'll just see. I need JDB to be consistent and keep it up. Right? Not just for 1 month, but it has to be for 4, 5, 6 months going into WrestleMania season. Right? And one last thing about the women's division for right now. It was announced that next week we will be getting Sasha versus Shotzi Blackheart. This has been kind of building up for the last couple weeks. Sasha and Shotzi have been taking shots at each other per storyline on social media, right? Sasha wasn't there last week because of the UK tour, and then they had the 6-man or 6-woman tag match this week. But next week, Sasha and Shotzi will actually be going up in the ring, which I am very excited about. Very, very excited about. I feel like those two could have match of the night. I feel like that could be a very underrated match. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I am very excited for Sasha and Shotzi next week. Will Shotzi get the victory? Because this is more about Shotzi than Sasha. We know what Sasha is. She's the number one babyface on the show. Shotzi just recently turned heel. So I'm not saying Shotzi needs to beat Sasha next week, but Shotzi needs to look very impressive. Maybe the match ends with a disqualification, like all the women come out and they start brawling, but Shotzi has to look impressive next week because you just turned her heel. And as much as I am a fan of Sasha Banks, I want Shotzi the matter in that women's division. I think she's very, very talented, and I want to see her succeed. So, we'll have to see what happens. But Sasha and Shotzi, that's going to be very, very interesting. Hopefully, WWE gives them time. I would give them 15 to 20 minutes. Honestly, give them 2 commercial breaks. You know, you can have that take up a good chunk of like the first hour of SmackDown if you want it. If anything, you can have that main. You can either have that main event or open the show. I would have that either open or main event the show next week. You know, let those two go for 15, 20 minutes. Let them go, and then I feel like they can give you something really good going into Survivor Series weekend. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with those two, of course. But that is on the docket for next week. So we'll see what happens between Sasha and Shotzi Blackheart. Next up, so backstage, Paul Heyman and Caleb Braxton. You know, this is actually kind of entertaining every single week. Caleb Braxton just gets under Paul Heyman's skin. So Heyman told Caleb Braxton that if Reigns could not make Woods bend the knee tonight, that the tribal chief promises to bend the knee himself. And if he doesn't, Reigns can be stripped of the Universal Championship and banned from SmackDown, claiming it is legally binding being in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Right? So they try to throw that little icing on the cake saying Reigns could lose the Universal Championship. But let's be serious, right? For anybody that's not a casual, you knew, of course, that's not going to happen. There was 0% chance that Reigns was going to lose the Universal Championship, especially in that matter. They're just mainly doing that for storyline, and they're trying to get the casuals more invested. Like, oh, Reigns could potentially lose his Universal Championship tonight. Maybe that should give you more of a reason to watch the main event. But I saw this, and it didn't do anything to me. You know, there was no way that Reigns, especially him being the top heel in the company, there was no way they were going to have him bend the knee to Xavier Woods. Clearly, when they meant bend the knee, it was going to mean something else, right? You know, him once again reminding everybody that he's tribal chief, you know? And remember, the key word is, he said that Reigns promised to bend a knee himself. They didn't say anything about him bending a knee to Xavier Woods. This said him bending a knee himself. So clearly, they were doing this to try to give you a little more flavor into the main event. But like I said, it didn't really do much for me. I was excited to see Xavier versus Roman because I'm happy to see Woods have success in the singles run. You know, because Kofi's been playing more of a background factor here. You know, this has been more about Xavier, and I'm happy for him because he deserves it. We've seen Kofi as WWE Champion. We're seeing Big E as WWE Champion right now. And it's cool to see Xavier having success as a single star himself, especially in this storyline with the number one heel in Roman Reigns, right? But I just didn't. But when they put this tonight with the whole bend the knee thing, I was like, not much is gonna happen, guys. Like, come on, you know, we know Roman's gonna look dominant. You know, that's the way it is every week on SmackDown. There's no way that Roman's gonna look weak here. So, so I can understand why they did it, but in me being honest, it just didn't really do much for me because I knew there was no way Roman was gonna bend the knee to Xavier Woods, and there was no way that Roman was gonna lose the Universal Championship. It was just pretty simple, if you ask me. But anyway, we saw, and there's an ant crawling in my room. Hold on, I need to kill that thing. It's bothering me. So then we had Rick Boogs and Nakamura versus what is it called? Excuse me. Angel Garza and Humberto. Their official name is the Los Lutheros. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but forgive me on that. I'll just call them Garza and Humberto for now. But you know, I'll be honest. I am enjoying Garza and Humberto as a tag team. Right? I'm not gonna sit here and say they're gonna become SmackDown Tag Team Champions because they are heels and the Usos are heels, and I don't know if the Usos are ever gonna lose those tag team titles. As long as Roman's champion, I don't think the Usos are losing those titles either. So I don't know, but you know, it is good to see Garza and Humberto thriving as a tag team. You know, I am happy for them. But this match was okay. It wasn't anything too special. It was just, you know, your normal, typical tag team match on SmackDown, right? Near the end here, Garza stopped Nakamura's comeback by grabbing hold of Nakamura's ankle, right? And the distraction allowed them to hit the high-low finisher for the win. So that was that, right? I don't know if Nakamura, because like I said, how many times is if I'm being honest, how many times has Nakamura defended that IC championship since he won it? I think he's only defended it once or twice. So yeah, we need. I keep saying this, and WWE doesn't do anything. Nakamura needs to be defending the IC championship because, in my opinion, the IC title is not. I'm not gonna say it's an afterthought. It's just that you're really not giving it the value it's supposed to have. Like, yes, Nakamura has reinvented himself as a babyface, and it's good to see him finding success, especially with Rick Boogs. They're an entertaining act and they're an entertaining group. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, they're, you know, Nakamura's the IC champion. He needs to be defending his title. You know what you when you look back at Nakamura's reign, what you could say, like, what has he done with that title? He really hasn't had any big matches or any big feuds. So we need to have Nakamura feuding and defending the IC title. If they want to do something where he's going up against both Garza and Humberto as like a side feud for right now, maybe they want to do something where Nakamura has to defend the IC title in a handicap match against those two, right? You know, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with that. I just need Nakamura to be defending his title at the end of the day. It's really that simple. It doesn't matter to me how they do it. Just have him defend the title. It's the IC title. It should go really without saying. So have Nakamura defend the title. Simple as that. Simple as that. So anyway, so Humberto and Garza beat Nakamura and Boogs. So we'll see where this goes, right? But like I said, you know, we need Nakamura winning. Plus, another thing, Nakamura should not be taking the pin. You guys know how I feel about champions getting pinned. Nakamura should not be taking the pin at all here. If anything, you should have had just Rick Boogs take the pin. That doesn't make sense. You know, I understand you want to build up the heels, but it would have been more if you want to build up the heels, it would make way more sense for Rick Boogs to lose, or for Rick Boogs to take the pin, other than Nakamura. Nakamura's the champion. You should be protecting your champions at, you should be protecting your champions at all cost. And I don't know if they've announced this, but I believe that Nakamura and Priest should be facing off at Survivor Series, right? Usually the mid-card champions face each other. So I don't know if that's been announced yet, but Nakamura versus Priest, since that should be the Master Survivor Series, I am very excited for that. That should be a banger of a match right there. Right? That, you guys know I feel Damian Priest is very underrated, and you guys know how good Nakamura is. So definitely that could be a secret show stealer at Survivor Series. After the match, we saw backstage Sami Zayn with Jeff Hardy, right? And then Adam Pearce informed Sami Zayn that he would battle Jeff Hardy, and whoever lost would be off the Survivor Series team, right? And it looks like they're setting up that whoever got taken off the team would be replaced by Von Wagner, right? A guy from NXT. But, and you guys know how I feel about big men in WWE. Von Wagner, he showed some signs of promise in NXT, but there's nothing that he's shown that shows me that he's ready for Survivor Series. He hasn't shown me anything that, he's ready for Survivor Series to be on a big WWE pay-per-view stage. It looks like WWE's trying to go in a younger direction and, kind of build up some of these new talent. And I'm happy to see that, but just the execution feels pretty poor to me. Von Wagner, we don't even know the guy. If you ask most of the people that watch the main roster, they probably don't even know what his finishing move is. They know nothing about this guy. And then you're just going to replace him, or have him replace somebody on the men's Survivor Series team for SmackDown just because you're trying to build him up. There's many different ways to build up a superstar. I don't think this is the right format. Like I said, I'm happy to see WWE. It looks like they're taking a little bit of interest in to focus more on younger talent, and we're seeing that with NXT, and you're seeing that a little bit on the main roster now. But it's the execution's just poor. There's way better ways to build up the younger talent than what they're doing right now. You know, just throwing Von Wager into this Survivor Series team when we have no idea, what he even brings to the table. It's just poor in my opinion. Just pure execution. Why don't you put the guy in the ring and actually start building him up a little bit? Then maybe we can talk Survivor Series and other things. But just to throw a guy that the main roster audience has no idea about, right? Just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense in my eyes. And it's just poor execution and poor booking, if you ask me. But anyway, not that I really care, who would be off the team between Nakamura and Zayn, because like I said, right now, I don't really have much reason to really care about Survivor Series. They haven't done anything to really make me care about the Survivor Series in general. So it is what it is. But I just think it's, fair to mention that, WWE is like, they're kind of trying to force this reintroduction of younger talent. And I don't necessarily agree with the proper execution of it. Next up, this was cringe. This was probably the worst part of the show, in my opinion. You had Charlotte Flair come out, right? And I would play the promo for you guys, but I just don't want to hear Charlotte's voice, right? You guys know how I feel about Charlotte. So, and plus I'm chilling in my chair right now. I'm relaxing. I'm enjoying myself at the moment. So I don't want to get myself all riled up, by listening to another Charlotte Flair promo. I'm not. We'll just go over the notes and what she said. So Charlotte came out. She was wearing some hideous black and white, I don't know, some black and white camo outfit. I don't know what to call it, but it was like a black and white leopard print, which was absolute cringe. I did not like what Charlotte was wearing tonight. But Charlotte came in the ring and she went into her normal robotic monologue state, and she was talking about Becky Lynch. And I'll remind you guys, I'll say it next week. I'll say it at Survivor Series. I have no plans to watch Charlotte versus Becky Lynch. Maybe I might just pay attention for the end of the match, but I have no interest in that match at all. No interest. I do not plan on watching that. I'll go make food. I'll use the restroom. I'll do something else, but I have no care or desire to see Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch at Survivor Series again. No care whatsoever, right? You can have Charlotte and Becky, throw as many insults as you want. You can do whatever, but it's not going to gauge any interest from me, because we've seen it so many times. I'm over it. I'm over Charlotte versus Becky, so that's my stance on it. So Charlotte came out and she was calling Becky a fake champion, right? She talked about how Becky had changed her identity from the last kicker to the man to Becky 2 belts, and now she's calling herself Big Time Bex, right? And how Becky, could never figure out who she wanted to be, and how Becky needs to be reminded that all of her success was because of Charlotte Flair. I think is some of these things we've heard from Charlotte before. Charlotte has taken credit for Becky's success so many times on a storyline basis. I'm over it. It's already bad enough having to hear Charlotte on the mic in general. But having to hear Charlotte say the same things over and over again, it's cancerous to me. That's the best way to describe it. It's like cancer to my ears, And Charlotte even tried to do, tried to make her own chant for Becky. She said, after Survivor Series, they're going to call Becky, uh-oh. And Charlotte kept, and for some reason, I don't know why, this was cringe as hell. The crowd was actually getting involved in it, But Charlotte kept saying, oh, Charlotte's going to beat Becky again at Survivor Series. Uh-oh. Right? Oh, well, I can do it too. Right? Charlotte's on my TV screen. Uh-oh. Let me change the channel. Right? Charlotte Flair's going up against another young talent. Uh-oh. That younger talent's about to get buried. Come on. I can do it too. Anything you do, Charlotte, I can do better. Come on. That thing was very, very cringe. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that nonsense. But anyway, right? She also, Charlotte had the audacity to call herself the Star Maker. So is that really what Charlotte's calling herself now? The Star Maker? Is that honestly what we're doing? It's already bad enough that she was calling herself the Opportunity earlier in the year. Now she's calling herself the Star Maker. Are we really going down that path? Are we really going in this direction? Is seriously the Star Maker? Have we lost our minds? Have we truly lost our minds? Like, come on. Come on. How many people has Charlotte elevated this year alone? She didn't elevate Rhea Ripley. She didn't elevate Nikki Cross, right? She didn't elevate Asuka. And she's not going to elevate anybody on SmackDown. So, like, who has Charlotte made a star? Let's be serious here. Who has Charlotte made a star this year alone? And we don't need to go through Charlotte's whole career. We'll be here all night. So, I hate when WWE just puts these, like, just ridiculous nicknames, man. Becky calling herself Big Time Bex. Charlotte calling herself the Opportunity and now the Star Maker. Like, come on. Seth Rollins has like 1,000 nicknames. Like, I really hate when WWE just tries to force these nicknames down your throat so that they can sell merch. Charlotte's not the Opportunity. She's not the Star Maker. No matter how much she wants to call herself that on WWE TV, real people like me know that is not the case. And it's a bunch of bullshit coming out of her mouth. It's a bunch of BS. That's what it is at the end of the day. And it should not be taken seriously. It shouldn't. She is no star maker. She's no trailblazer. She is no Opportunity. Right? So then Toni Storm came out. And it was good to see Toni Storm. Right? But Toni Storm came out and reminded Charlotte that she has yet to defend the SmackDown Women's title since arriving on SmackDown. Right? She talked about how Becky had defended her title on Raw just last week, and Charlotte had not defended her title at all, which is kind of true. Charlotte's been on the Blue Brand now for nearly a month, and she has not yet defended her title against anybody. So Toni made the challenge for a SmackDown Women's Championship match against Charlotte, and Charlotte said no, and then she got booed and left the arena. It is what it is, right? You know, you knew Charlotte was not going to accept a title match against Toni Storm. She's the heel. It makes sense. But the thing is now, right, is it looks like Charlotte versus Toni Storm could be a nice little side feud. Like I said, we already talked about how we don't know when WWE plans to do Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. We know that's going to be the big match for the SmackDown Women's Championship whenever they want to do that feud. If you want to do Charlotte versus Toni Storm for now, I'm all for it. You guys know I want to see the women's division grow. I want to see the younger talent have more of a role, right? I will say this, though. Even though I do like Toni Storm, it would be nice if she had won some matches before she made challenges to go up against somebody like Charlotte. You know, Toni has not been featured that much on SmackDown. And now all of a sudden she's out here, asking for SmackDown Women's Championship matches. I got to be fair. I like Toni Storm. But can you win some matches first? Can we get Toni Storm against Natalya, against Alea, against I don't know, Naomi and some of the other people? Can Toni Storm build up a little bit of a winning streak? Then it can make more sense to see her challenging somebody like Charlotte. Like I said, I like Toni Storm, but if I'm being fair, she hasn't done much to really earn a women's championship opportunity. She's not even on Team SmackDown. So she's not even on Team SmackDown for Survivor Series, and she's out here asking for a title match. I think Charlotte versus Toni Storm would be a good match, but it would be nice to see Toni actually get a couple wins first before she would come out be making these making challenges for women's title matches. So we'll see what happens with Charlotte and Toni. I would not be surprised if they do maybe they do Charlotte versus Toni Storm non-title match next week, like a championship contenders match, right? Maybe they do something like that. But it does look like, if you're saving Sasha versus Charlotte for later on, I have no problem with Charlotte versus Tony Storm. I just wish Tony would be built up a little bit before they just rush her into a championship match, right? Because Charlotte, if we're being honest, Charlotte's gonna defeat Tony. Charlotte is going to defeat Tony, So it would be good for Tony to kind of build up a little bit of a winning streak, and allow herself to connect with the WWE universe more before we had her lose to Charlotte, But hey, we'll see what happens there. I'm happy to see Toni Storm stepping up and getting an opportunity, but the execution has to be better. We can't just throw Toni into the title scene when she has not been built up properly for it at all, right? Backstage, Mustafa Ali approached Aliyah, and I forgot to mention this earlier, right? Aliyah, after winning her match tonight, Sasha and Naomi did a good job of building Aliyah up, right? Hugging her, because the crowd was very excited to see Aliyah win her debut match. Backstage, Sonya Deville said she was happy for Aliyah and, happy to see her excited after her first match and her first win. But then Sonya told Aliyah that she would not be on the SmackDown women's team anymore. And Aliyah, you could see the heartbreak in her eyes, right? Because it came out of nowhere. Going from the biggest moment to your career to the most embarrassing moment to your career, right? And clearly this goes with the storyline that Sonya's a corrupt WWE official and she's not doing what's best for the show, right? Not only not having Naomi on the team, but now taking off Aliyah, especially when Aliyah just won her first match on the Blue Brand. So clearly it's going with that storyline, and eventually, right, this stuff will catch up to Sonya in the end. We know we can kind of see where the direction of the storyline's going. It's supposed to make Sonya look like a dick as a heel, and then eventually you still get her comeuppance. But backstage we saw Ali approach Aliyah, but he didn't really get to say much because Ricochet interrupted, and Ricochet basically was able to bring more positivity back into Aliyah's eyes. So Ali was, frustrated. And remember, we did see Ali. He did have an interest in Ricochet's match with Drew McIntyre last week as well. So I don't know if they're setting up for a Ricochet and Ali feud. Maybe they could be setting up Ricochet and Ali as a tag team. I don't know. But it is interesting to see that, the last couple weeks, Ali and Ricochet have crossed paths. So we'll see where this goes. But it's definitely something to keep an eye to on SmackDown. So next up, we had Jeff Hardy and Sami Zayn. Like I said earlier, the loser of this match would be off the men's SmackDown Survivor Series team, right? This was a good match. It wasn't anything too special, but it was just a good match on TV here. Nothing too much to talk about. Zayn dominated for the most part. Hardy made a comeback, right? Hardy did the whisper to the wind for a 2 count. Zayn responded and did a roll up and tried to sneak with having his foot on the rope for extra leverage, but then he got caught by the referee, right? And then Zayn, of course, was arguing with the ref. This allowed Hardy to recover and hit the Twist of Fate and Swanton Bomb for the win. So, good match between these two. Nothing special. Hardy gets the win here, and he stays on the Survivor Series team. Wish I could care a little bit more, but I don't. Also, Hit Row, right? So Hit Row was doing a little bit of a backstage segment. They were doing a little bit of a rap, talking about how they've enjoyed their time on SmackDown so far, and they're excited about the future. And then later on, Jinder Mahal and Shanky did a response of their own. They did their own little rap thing, which was pretty cringe, right? But it looks like they're setting up Hit Row versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky. I don't really care. It's a side feud. It is what it is. But that did happen on the show, right? Seeing Jinder Mahal rap was absolutely cringe. I will say that. And that's all I will say about that. Rich Holland, he had an interview with Caleb Braxton. Cesaro interrupted Ridge, and he tried to warn the NXT call-up not to be so quick to trust Sheamus, right? And it kind of makes sense because remember Cesaro and Sheamus, they were a tag team for a long time. The Bar, they were actually very successful as a tag team, if you guys remember. And I'll be honest with you guys, I would love to see the Bar make a comeback. You know, Sheamus did have a very successful singles run on Raw. Cesaro, he had that great match with Roman Reigns earlier in the year, and then of course we remember the WrestleMania match with Seth Rollins. But Cesaro has really done nothing since then. I would love to see the Bar come back as a tag team, especially if you have them come back as a babyface tag team, right? I would love to see the Bar versus the Usos, you know. So, and it was announced that next week Sheamus will be coming back to SmackDown, right? So look, it looks like they could be setting up something with Sheamus and Rich Holland, but if I'm being honest, I would much rather see the Bar make a comeback here in 2021. I would love to see Cesaro and Sheamus bring back the Bar. We are the Bar. Like, I actually enjoyed them a lot as a tag team. I would love to see them against the New Day again and the Usos. You know, add another tag team in that SmackDown tag team division. I would love to see the Bar make a comeback. You know, hopefully WWE has it on the table. But we'll see what happens with Sheamus's return next week. Last but not least, we had Roman Reigns make his way for his match with Xavier Woods. This was an absolute banger, right? And the big thing, of course, this is about Xavier, man. We know how good Roman is, but still, this was more about Xavier and really him showcasing himself as a single star against the number one guy in the company currently in Roman Reigns. And that's exactly what he did. Xavier held his own. You know, it's really good to see Xavier showcase his potential, man. I don't think Xavier is better than Kofi or Big E, of course, but to see him having success as a single star and putting on these great matches against the likes of a Bobby Lashley, like a Ricochet, right? Like Finn Balor, and now against Roman Reigns, the number one guy in the company currently. It's a really great thing if you ask me. It's a really good thing, and I'm happy to see Xavier having the success. This was a really good match. Reigns hit Xavier with a huge Uwagiri on the ring table, right? Woods was able to make a comeback with a tornado DDT. Then Roman planted him with it almost looked like a mini rock bottom, but it was something different. Reigns scored a 2 count. He went for the spear, but he got hit with a big knee, and Reigns collided with the turnbuckle. Then Woods did the elbow drop halfway across the ring. It's beautiful every time he does that because the amount of air, you guys have to understand, man. It's hard to see on TV, but the amount of air that you have to, and distance you have to get to make that, to execute that maneuver, it's tough. If Woods lands the wrong way, he could shatter his elbow. So it was really cool to see Woods land that elbow drop halfway across the ring. And Woods was about to get the win, but of course the Usos hit the ring. And this is where I kind of get a little bit, bland with Reigns because it's like the same thing every single time. I would have much rather and I understood why they did it, of course, right? Because Woods is the babyface here. But it's like the same thing every single time with the Usos, man. Right? The Usos interfering in Roman's matches. Roman interfering in the Usos matches, man. It's repetitive. It's repetitive, if you ask me. But anyway, so then they went after Xavier. They beat him down. Kofi was not there, of course, because Kofi was not there per storyline. Because remember, Roman, they attacked Kofi's knee last week. So Kofi was not there to help his brother out and help even the odds. So Xavier got hit with the steel steps, and they sent him over the announce table. So Woods was out of it, and then back inside, Reigns did in fact take a knee with Xavier out of commission. Reigns took a knee, and the Uso placed Woods' crown on him. So the bloodline stood tall to end the show. So I don't know if Roman's now calling himself the king of SmackDown, right? He is the tribal chief, everything like that, but I would not be surprised if next week Reigns comes out wearing Xavier's King of the Ring crowd. So once again, Reigns is above everybody. Reigns continues his dominance over the entire WWE. I will say this last thing before I end the podcast, man. At the end of this run, whenever Reigns loses that title, no matter if it's at WrestleMania next year or if it's at WrestleMania the year after, because we know that WWE wants Reigns to have one of the most dominant title runs in WWE history, right? Whenever this run ends, Reigns has to give back to that locker room. Really, because Reigns has been put over everybody in the company. He's beaten everybody, right? When Reigns' run ends as the tribal chief, he's going to have to give back to that locker room, man. Because there's so many other people that could have been champion, so many people that could have been in that main event slot. But they've decided to elevate Reigns over everybody else. When he does lose that title, he's going to have to give back. He's going to have to give back and put a lot of other people over. Because everybody's put him over. And they've elevated him to this huge platform where nobody can touch him. It's like Reigns is untouchable, right? One day, when Reigns loses that title, he's going to have to give back and put other people over the same way he's been put over everybody else for the last year and a half. But anyway, still, man, this was an okay show. It wasn't a bad show. There was some things that could have been done better, but for the most part, this was an okay show, man. It was funny seeing Reigns wear that crown at the end of the show. The crown, it fit perfectly on his head. It fit him perfectly. The long hair, the beard, the crown looked perfect on Reigns' head. So it will be interesting to see next week, will Reigns actually wear that crown? Will Xavier, try to get his crown back or whatever they plan to do? But still, man, it was an interesting way to end SmackDown tonight. I am intrigued to see, does Reigns actually wear the crown next week? He's already Universal Champion. He doesn't really need anything else. But it would be hilarious to see Reigns come out on SmackDown next week wearing that crown. But anyway, let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of SmackDown tonight as we come to the end of this review. Like I said, man, I'm feeling comfy over here in this chair, man. I think I'm going to have to do more reviews like this in the future. Like, I will fix this, of course, and get my mic back on, get my mic back on the stand. But I'm enjoying this, man. I'm kind of enjoying this. It's kind of comfy. But like I said, let me know what you guys thought of the SmackDown review. I will be back this weekend with AEW Full Gear at some point. It could be Friday. It could be Saturday night. Could be Sunday. Could be Monday. But I will get you guys an AEW Full Gear review at some point. Other than that, guys, this is about all I got for you guys today, man. We got 1 week to go to Survivor Series. Even though I'm not that excited for Survivor Series, still, we will have a review for Survivor Series Sunday night, right after the show goes off the air. Man, we'll have a bunch to talk about. And we'll see, going into the Survivor Series Go Home week, we'll see what WWE has planned for us, right? But other than that, guys, this is all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys for joining me here on the Legit Shoot Podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, man, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you guys are new to the channel, hit the bell next to my name so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. I'm getting out of here. You guys stay safe and healthy, yo. Peace.